guys! So I'm here today to do a joint book review of two amazing books that I recently read, and I was sent both of them from publishers for free. I didn't ask for either of them, but I loved them both. So I am really excited to tell you guys about them. The first one I have to tell you guys about is Revenger, which is by Alistair Reynolds. I just adored this book, and I was sent this one from Gallants, who are the publisher. I went and saw Alistair Reynolds very recently at a talk that he gave with Stephen Baxter at Gallants Fest, and I really enjoyed him talking there. He made me super interested in picking up his books, and I read this book as part of my Outer Space October month that I was doing. So I genuinely really enjoyed this. It was a fantastic read from start to finish. I think it was action-packed, I think it was intense, I think it was exciting, and I got to know the characters really well. And it just kind of had everything I love in a science fiction book, which is definitely fast-paced and not too much emphasis on the crazy technology. It definitely had some things that kind of bridged the gap a little bit between fantasy and sci-fi, because there are these weapons that are called like ghostly weapons, and they're definitely not quite sciencey, they're kind of magical as well, so that was really cool. And I just think that this feels like a really approachable kind of almost YA, I would say, because it feels, well, the main few characters are teenagers, but it also feels quite fast-paced and action-packed, which I do tend to associate with YA books, which I love. And I really hadn't read a YA book, a YA style book, for a while, and this definitely feels like that to me. So if you're maybe a YA reader, or if you just want a super fun, fast-paced read in science fiction, maybe pick up Revenger by Alistair Reynolds. Now, saying that, I did actually listen to the audiobook of bits of this too, because I was at work, and whilst I've been working I've had quite a lot of time on my commute and such to listen to audiobooks that have been really good, and the audiobook for this was fantastic, so I will just put that out if you want to listen to it. I think it's really well narrated. It is narrated by Claire Corbett, and I think she did a fantastic job of bringing the young girls, who are the main characters in this, to life. So in this story we follow two sisters. They live on a planet with their father, and their father is kind of into gambling and debt, and he doesn't really have a hold on his life right now. The two sisters feel very controlled, and they want to get away, and they also want to help their father because they do love him, even though he's not the best parent that you could ever have. And so they decide that they're going to try and sign on and become space pirates, and that is what they do. They realise that they have a kind of affinity with the bones, which is this magical type of device that can pick up wavelengths from sound in the universe from long distances away, and can basically listen in on other people's conversations from other ships. It's a really interesting idea. It doesn't really get explained at any point how it works, so I kind of just assume in my head it's kind of magic, which is great. I really enjoyed the two main characters, who are called Adrana and Thura, and I think that they just worked really well together as sisters and supported each other the whole time, which is not always something I see in books, so I really liked their sort of sisterly relationship, and they definitely never gave up on one another or got too frustrated with each other that they couldn't help. They were there for each other, and they knew that they had to stick together because they were going somewhere that no one really knows what's going to happen. Space pirating is not the safest of careers, as you find out when this book goes on and things don't go quite according to plan. They join up with a crew where the captain is called Captain Ruckamore, and they basically go on a big adventure, and it's really fun to follow their journey. But I do think there are some surprises that come into this as well. I think there were some twists and turns that I didn't necessarily anticipate, and there were some more brutal scenes that I didn't anticipate too, which is why it's probably classed as adult over YA, but it feels very fresh, it feels very fun, it feels very interesting, and I would certainly recommend checking this one out. So I'd love to hear if you guys have picked this one up, or if you're planning to. It was my first ever sort of Alistair Reynolds book. I'd never read any of his other stuff. I'm currently working my way through Revelation Space, which I'm finding a lot more difficult and not as entertaining, but I would hugely recommend this one, so I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars overall. The next book I have to tell you guys about is Caraval, which is by Stephanie Garber. Now, this one is not actually out yet, but it does come out in January, so keep your eyes peeled and add it all to your wish lists, because I adored this book, and I don't say that too often about books that I just instantly knew it was going to be 5 stars, but with this one I did, because I was hooked from page 1 through to the very end. I was captivated, I was enchanted, I was rooting for these characters, really loving the world building, loving the atmosphere, loving the kind of plot arc, and everything just seemed to be going really well for me with this book. So in the end I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars because it was just fantastic. Visualize all of these really cool places that are described in the book. Basically we follow again two young sisters, coincidentally. This time they are on an island and they live there with their father, who is, again, actually, weirdly, didn't even think of the comparisons between these two when I put them in this video together, but now that I'm thinking about it, there are some weird comparisons. Maybe that's why I like them both. Anyway, they live with their father, who is basically really abusive. He is an abusive father. If they don't do what he wants them to do the instant he wants them to do it, then they will get punished, and not only will they get punished, but actually their sister will take their punishment for them. So he is very abusive, very nasty, very cruel, very evil through and through, and I just didn't like him as a character at all. Instantly he was the bad guy, the evil, nasty, horrible guy. So he's definitely that. The cool thing about this world is that even though they live on this island and they don't really have any hope of escape, they know about the Caraval, which is kind of like a travelling circus type thing that goes around different islands and never really goes to the same place twice. They've heard about it because their grandmother has told them about a Caraval that went on once, and it just sounded really cool to them, so they have always wanted to go to the Caraval, and they've always written letters to the master of the Caraval in the hopes that they could convince him to come to their island. Now that doesn't happen, but they do end up coming to an island not far away, and they also have decided by this point that they are grown up and they want to leave this island. They do not want to stay with their father. One of them decides that she has a plan to get off of the island. The other decides, no, let's go to the Caraval and see what can happen there. So that is what they do, and of course all things crazy start from then on. The Caraval is very mysterious, there's lots of history and magic surrounding it, but no one really knows what happens there because no one who ever goes talks about it. So it is something really exciting. I really enjoyed the sort of visuals I got from reading about it. It's a mystery through and through, but it has character depth, it's got great world building, it's got great atmosphere, and I just think it's fantastically written. It is the first one in the series, and the ending, just, I need the next book like now. But yeah, it was fantastic, and I would hugely recommend that you pick this one up because I did, as I say, gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and it was just magical. So I was sent this one for review from Hodder and Stoughton, who are the publishers. Love to hear your thoughts in January when it comes out and you read it and you tell me everything awesome that you think about it, because this is a winner in my book. So those are the 2 books I have to tell you about today. Do let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.